welcome to the Hat Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan McCracken, and I'm here with Sean Rooney on the phone from Calgary. How's it going, Sean?
Pretty good. Yourself, Ryan?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to get this podcast started here.
Me too, even though we're a day late taping it, but we won't tell anybody about that. Oops, too late.
It's a bit late for that. So just to let everybody know, this is kind of an idea that we came up with. We're trying to diversify the way that we cover sports here in Medicine Hat, so we figured we'd put something up on our website and just the sports desk talking about the sports that are happening in this town and what's going on, what's coming up, and what's happened. So
yeah, and I think we'll talk about some other stuff too. Just like if like a big story breaks nationally, internationally. I mean, this is the kind of thing where we're going to figure this out as you guys hear it. This is a work in progress, and we'd love to hear you guys' feedback too, just in terms of give us some ideas. What do you want to hear about, right?
Definitely. And so today we're going to be talking about a number of different things. We're going to start things off with the Mavericks coming off a WNBL championship. I actually was away for the final two games. I got the honor of covering the team through the playoffs, but had to leave for personal reasons for the final two games of the championship run.
Yeah.
So, Sean, what can you tell me about what the atmosphere was like here in Medicine Hat for those final two games?
Well, and here's the thing. Maybe actually we should back up briefly a second, just sort of explain I'm the sports editor here, but I'm actually, as was mentioned, I'm calling from the Alberta Children's Hospital because my son Dominic is here. A lot of people will know that story. So it's kind of funny because neither of us were actually at the game where they won the championship. You were out for personal reasons. I was out for personal reasons. But I guess what we can both speak to is sort of the atmosphere around the city, right? In terms of people have really jumped on this team. Like ever since Greg Morrison bought the team, was it 2008? I think it was. I apologize, I've got the year wrong, folks, but. He's such a likable guy, and he's done things the right way here, and the attendance has just gone up every year, and you just felt like it was inevitable that they were going to win it some year. And everybody who was here last year, I think we all thought that they were going to win it, and then it just didn't happen. It was just such a big letdown at the end. I can't even imagine why I was there at last game last year, and had to cover it, and it was just so heartbreaking. So just to know that they. And just to see everybody just jump on the bandwagon, not that everybody was on the bandwagon this year, but it was so fantastic to see everybody get so excited for it and for them to finally finish it off with, by the way, a team that nobody thought that this was the kind of team that would do it, right? Like, this was basically just above a 500 ball club all summer.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I talked to Morrison and head coach Adam Shorsher about, was just about the fact that on paper this isn't a team that should be winning a championship this year.
No, yeah.
But they both said to me that it comes down to the fact that, teams learn through losses, I think. Yeah. And I've always said that winning a championship isn't so much about how many wins you get, it's about how you deal with the losses that you take.
Yeah.
And I think they did a really good job of that this season. Going back on what you said, I for those who don't know, I moved here from St. Paul pretty recently at the end of July, and there's not too much baseball up north just because of the fact that the weather doesn't permit a very long season. And I came down here, and the first thing I thought was, wow, this is a baseball town. And
so much a baseball town.
Yeah, it was really cool to get in and to see the games here, and the atmosphere that they have here. It's a real big league experience for these college guys. And so it was a lot of fun watching it, and I feel like that fan backing that they have here in town was part of the drive, and that's what a lot of the players said to me.
Well, that's the thing. That encouraged players to come back here too, right? And like even in the years where they didn't win it, the players would always talk well of this organization. As I said, ever since Greg took over, and that makes it easier to recruit. Like, I mean, not that Greg and his crew couldn't get good guys anyhow, but it makes them want to come back though. And when you get guys coming back every year, like. Brian Arthur and CJ Dideau and stuff like that. I mean, that is huge.
Brian Arthur was very, very key in the playoffs this year. A couple of huge defensive plays from the outfield, and just a very consistent hitter in all sorts of situations.
I couldn't help but notice he actually got the final out, I believe it was, from each of the last two series, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Because I think I think it was a ball to center field each time.
Oh, really?
In the game against, because I covered that last game in Okotoks. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it was an F8, and then it was an F8 to win the whole thing too. So very appropriate, that guy. He's such a class act. Like I really loved covering him the past few years. So yeah, it was really nice. And I mean, a guy like Garrett Weiss too and stuff like that. I mean, Weiss, he just sort of like doesn't talk a lot, but man, he had a great season when it was all said and done. I know he was kind of down on things earlier when I talked to him earlier in the season, but Yeah, and that's the way the team was too, right? Like they had to overcome something to get there. Whereas I think that was what was missing last year. They never had to overcome it; they just kept winning.
Exactly. Yeah,
it was almost too easy.
Through adversity this season.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. You look back on it too. Like the only other time that the Mavericks ever won the championship was their first season in the league, 2003, and that team was like, I don't even know if they were 500. They were just an average ball club, and they got hot in the playoffs, and they rode a couple big arms. This year they had a lot more depth as far as pitching went, but it just shows you, like, the WNBL playoffs are so quick. They're over so fast. Like, it's like one and a half weeks in August and you're done.
Yeah.
So if you have a good couple weeks, you win it. I mean, that's what bit the Mavs a bit last year, was they just ran into a hot ball club in the finals, right?
Yeah, and Swift Current looked very threatening from the two games that I saw in Swift Current. That first game was just incredible.
I thought extra inning game.
Yeah, it went into 11, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, it just seemed like the game was over on 6 different occasions there.
Yeah.
Adam Scott getting picked off on third with no out in the bottom of 10.
You said that was a close call, hey? Like,
it was a very close call. I was standing right there.
Home fans in Medicine Hat would have thought he was definitely safe.
Oh, there would have been
home fans in Swift Current would have been like, yeah, that's the right call. Well, that's what you do, right?
It prompted one of Shorter's many arguments on the night.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw him really get super angry, but he seems like a pretty level-headed guy. It was just, I guess he just sort of knew that was necessary at that point. Was that your feeling about it?
Frustrated. There were a couple of kind of wishy-washy calls that were going all through the game there. It started off early, and that wasn't ultimately the one that he lost it over.
Right.
He did voice his concerns following that one, and I think any coach would or should have.
Yeah.
But it was after the Devin Johnson catch where he made bottom of 10, 2 outs. I believe the bases were loaded, and a real deep fly ball. He caught it on the run and went straight into the fence, and the umpire took a little while to make the call. And Shorsher was not happy about that, especially being in such a pivotal situation. He calls it safe, the game's over.
Right, exactly.
And so he was a little concerned for his player there as well. And
well, that's the thing. Just in a playoffs like that, there's so many little moments, just like that one you just described, that can just turn things either way. And, and that's what makes it so exciting. And it's certainly a year to remember for everybody. So, I mean, there will be lots said about that, in the off season and stuff. And geez, we can only be so fortunate that they might be able to be as good next year, right?
Yeah,
so,
definitely. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. So next off, I guess, again, because I've been here in the Children's Hospital with my son for the last little bit, I haven't had a chance to really see the Tigers that much. You have. We're already going into, what are they? They're in Edmonton this weekend, I think it is?
They just left for Edmonton. We're recording this on Friday afternoon, and they just left for Edmonton about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago.
Right, and so of course they never bring like everybody. Like there's most of the vessels stay back and get some ice time, I presume.
That's right. Yeah, and. A number of vets are staying, and they're bringing a number of prospects as well. I know James Hamlin is going to be going out there and showcasing what he's got to offer. He's been a joy to watch.
Yeah,
just a real all-around player. He's threatening wherever he gets the puck. He makes great plays.
So how old is he again?
15.
Right, and that's the thing. So that's a kid who's really not going to play for the team this year. That's just like a brand new. I think they're allowed to. No, I don't think at that age they're allowed to play at all, are they? There's a limit on games.
I spoke with Joe Fraser about that this morning, and he told me, assistant coach Joe Fraser, and he told me that at his age he's not eligible to play.
Yeah.
But they want to get him some preseason action and see what he's capable of for the future.
That's fantastic. Well, that's the thing. There's so few spots to be had on this team, right? I mean, there's so many guys back from last year, and there's even the 20s are full up. They can only have 3 20-year-olds when it's all said and done.
They're sitting at about 6 or so right now.
Yeah. So, just in terms of the guys who you've seen who have, made, especially the young guys, I think most people are most curious about right now, because I think most Tigers fans sort of know the established guys. Like, they know Koulis is going to be good. They know Cox is going to be good, right?
Yeah.
But about these new guys coming in, is there anybody who you think? I mean, we're all speculating, of course, at this point, but guys who might have a chance to see some action early on?
Well, I think Connor Hobbs has a really good chance. He played at Ivan Hlinka in early August here and won a gold medal with Team Canada there.
Yeah.
And he's had a really good camp so far. he put up a goal in the inter-squad game, and coming out of the box, fresh out of the box, got a break and potted it.
Nice.
And he laid a huge hit on Matt Bradley, and Matt Bradley told me that it was probably the hardest hit he's ever taken. So
yeah, I saw that in your story.
Yeah, I spoke with Connor again this morning. He's definitely coming out ready to play for the regular season here.
Good. Well, yeah, and that's the thing is that if you even a great camp like that still might not translate into a ton of time on a team like this that's got so many vets. So
definitely.
I mean, and then that becomes the big question, right? If you're the Tigers, if you've got a kid who's sort of on the verge, and you're not going to have much playing time for him, where is it best for him to be this year? Is it best for him to be up with a major club, getting all that practice time in, or is he best off leading the way for his club at midget AAA? I mean, that's it's a tough call, but it'll be interesting to see what they decide.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Matt Bradley as well. He's been having a heck of a training camp. I don't know exactly what his stats were off the top of my head from the inter-squad game, but he put up a couple of points in that, and he was looking strong all around. He definitely is looking like he wants some playing time with the Tigers this season. He wants to wear that jersey.
Cool. So, obviously, I think the two most obvious stories here then are the 20s, right? The 20-year-olds. You've got Miles Koulis, Kyle Becker, Tyler Lewington, Jared Rathjen, Merrick Langhammer.
Yeah.
Langhammer is the big question mark, right?
Yeah, well, he's going to camp with the Coyotes in about 2 weeks now, just less than that.
Yeah.
And so at that point, they're going to evaluate him and see if they can find a spot for him in one of their NHL or AHL systems. And at that point, then the Tigers can kind of make a move. But they made moves for Rathjen, and they actually just made another trade and got rid of sent Luke Robideau to Lethbridge,
right,
to kind of free up a bit of space there. And they seem confident with what they have in Nick Schneider and Jared Rathjen.
Yeah.
But obviously Langhammer is the strongest of the three.
Well, and I guess the other thing, the obvious thing then, is if Langhammer comes back, Rathjen's gone. I mean, those are two 20s. Langhammer, you're going to keep him. So Rathjen's, unfortunately, you've got to think that would be it. But that still leaves three other guys, and then even if Langhammer doesn't come back, you've got to decide who of Koulis, Becker, Lewington, Rathjen aren't there with this team. So that is going to be a really tough call. And the Tigers famously hold their cards close to their chest. There won't be much known until the day of, when they finally announce what they're going to do. They'll probably trade somebody away at that point, but it's nice to have that problem. So. And it'll be interesting to see what the available options are for them. What other teams do or don't have room for 20s to take or give, and that kind of thing. So that's definitely something for people to watch out for. I think they've got to have their. I don't know the exact date, but it's a few weeks into the season where they've actually got to finally decide which of the extras have to go. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and it's not going to be an easy decision for them.
No.
I mean, it's not. They're not in a bad spot right now in any way. But they're going to have some tough decisions ahead. That much is for sure. Yeah.
And so as far as coming out the Tigers go, then. So the other thing is that they don't have any home games this year for exhibition play. And anybody who's looked at their schedule, even on their own website, might think that there's a home game. Yeah, that's this weekend. That's in Edmonton.
That's right.
And I think there's another one in. They always play a game. Is it in? Oh, I'm not even going to guess. There's one other game they play offsite against Red Deer every year.
That's the St. Albert game.
Is that St. Albert or is that Strathmore? Anyhow.
It might be Strathmore. I think St. Albert, Edmonton, same thing, and that's how they're classifying it for the Saskatoon game.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, really, this past Monday night was probably your best chance.
Yeah, to see them before they get on the ice for the regular season, yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing we might as well just briefly touch on before we move on is just this. I saw the story that Colin Gallant, who used to be one of our guys who ran in the Tigers, got to see the event center shaping up. That looks pretty cool. I'm sure you've chatted with him briefly about that. I mean, it sounds like things are going along pretty well. They're still on pace to be open for next year.
Yeah, it's looking that way, and it's exciting for me too because getting to come into Medicine Hat, I kind of get an interesting perspective on it, and that I get to be at the arena for its last season.
Yeah, and you only have to sit 1 year in that awful press box.
That's right. Actually, I had the luxury on Monday of watching the inter-squad game from the real press box.
From the real press box. Yeah, lucky you. Yeah. No, we kid. I mean, let's face it. The amount of people in a media box, in the past 42 years, since that arena was built has drastically increased. There's just simply not enough room for everybody who needs and should be up there.
Oh, yeah,
so,
with radio and television and live stats and goal review and everything that's changed in the past few decades, yeah, it doesn't leave much room up there.
Yeah, there's a lot we could talk about how things have changed with that arena and the world around it in the past 40 years. So
yeah.
I'm sure there will be plenty mentioned about it. But and of course for the people who love it, I mean, yeah, there will be a lot that will be missed about it. You're never going to get that kind of atmosphere in the new rink.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward,
impossible.
to kind of getting a fresh perspective on it, but also learning from the people in Medicine Hat about what the history of that building is, and what they're going to be leaving behind in that. And obviously there's a lot of promise for the future with this new building, and I'm personally looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to bigger crowds for Tigers games. I love that. So, I mean, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to this season, though, and getting to kind of soak in that atmosphere of the last season in this building.
Well, that's great to close off for Tigers, but let's just put out one thing to our listeners. Anybody listen to this, let's hear your stories. I'd love to read some emails or some tweets or whatever about your favorite memories from the arena. Let's hear some of those for next week's podcast, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we were going to do this at the end, but let me just sort of briefly mention out our Twitter accounts and our emails. So the easiest thing, if you're going to email us, just email sports@medicinehatnews.com. And then for Twitter, my Twitter username is at MHNRooney, ROONEY. And yours?
Is at MHN McCracken, MCCRACKEN.
I just wanted you to have to spend all the time saying all those letters. So next, what are we going to chat about next year? What do we got on the list?
Well,
we actually have a list, people. We actually did slightly plan this, but there's only so much you can do.
But no, football season kicks off tonight, or at least preseason.
Oh yeah, that's where you're headed in like an hour and a half here. I better get moving.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. Up in St. Paul, I covered and coached with the St. Paul Lions, who won back-to-back Wheatland Football League championships in the past.
Wow!
Season.
So how far did you? Okay, again, if anybody missed that, he said he helped coach. So what part of coaching were you doing there?
I worked primarily with the receivers.
Okay.
And I did a little bit of work with the kicking as well.
Okay.
We had a lot of variety when it came to kicking, but no real thorough skill. So I worked with a lot of players, and it was kind of whoever was hot that day got to get the ball in their hands and punt it downfield.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, it's teach that sort of stuff at the high school age, because it takes a lot of repetition.
Right.
You got to be doing the exact same thing over and over and over again in order to get good at it.
Well, I was going to say, like, what kind of minor footballs did they have down there? Because here, of course, we actually, the Medicine Hat Tackle Football Association is pretty good. They've got like Adam and Pee Wee and of course the Bantam League and again, because of the better weather we have down here, aren't you glad to have that? They get to play longer in the night, and it's a lot more comfortable.
Oh, it's beautiful down here. I mean, yesterday I went out and I stopped by a couple of the practices just to meet the coaches from each team, and I was at the Methanex Bowl and practicing with lights on out in St. Paul.
Yeah.
We get one game a year.
Right.
Called Friday Night Under the Lights. And the team rents these those big generator lights.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we bring them out and install them on the football field, and for one night out of the season we get an actual night game, because we don't have a field with lights.
Exactly. Well, and yeah, not only do we have the night game, we've got turf, like artificial turf, proper stuff that's just only a year old. And man, I talked to coaches even at the end of last year, and they're like, "This is amazing. This is so good." And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to worry about cutting the grass. It's better on the players' bodies. There's hopefully not as many injuries. Mm-hmm. So it's really exciting, and it's going to be used not just for high school football this year. I talked to we're going to talk about the Rattlers briefly, but the Rattlers are going to play. They're going to host women's soccer nationals on that surface. That's where they're going to play the games. So yeah, it's and you can use it for everything. You can use it for rugby, soccer, football. Like it's just so great that they have that facility there.
Definitely. Yeah. It's a beautiful field.
Now, in terms of the actual high school teams in the Rangeland Football Conference, I don't know about you, but I really get the sense that High is looking really good this year.
Yeah, I spoke with all three coaches yesterday, and that's kind of the vibe that I got. They definitely graduated the fewest players. I think they only graduated 5 players last year.
Right.
And so they got a lot of returning starters, and they seem like they could be threatening this year. Whereas the other two teams, they're still figuring out who their starting quarterback is going to be. Both of them kind of have it narrowed down to two, as far as I know.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, they're still kind of figuring things out, and they're Crescent Heights and McCoy will be kind of using the preseason here to figure out who their starting players are, find out who the guys that want it the most are and are willing to, put themselves on the line to make those plays. That's what preseason is going to be used for those two teams, whereas I see Hat High using this preseason, this weekend, just more as an opportunity to kind of firm out some game plan and make sure that the new players are meshing in with the old players. But I think it's more... it's a less difficult situation for Hat High heading into the regular season here.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, obviously, there's a season to be played, and you never know how the games are going to go. But if I was ever going to put my money on high school boys football, which I never would, it's Hat High's looking pretty good. And you know what? Let that motivate McCoy and Crescent Heights. I mean, there's no reason they can't pull an upset or whatever.
Exactly.
So
that's what the Mavericks did this year, right?
Exactly right. You just got to be there. So McCoy's got W.R. Myers tonight. Then Hat High hosts LCI, and then tomorrow Crescent Heights is at Camrose. But none of that, of course, is regular season Rangeland. Rangeland starts next week, and Crescent Heights is at Brooks. Hat High hosts Strathmore. I believe it's a 7:30 game. And I don't have McCoy's game on our calendar here, but I have a funny feeling that they are playing that weekend as well, right?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I believe all teams start off that weekend.
Yeah.
In Rangeland, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, they must be playing Drumheller then. Drumheller's the only other team that we don't have mentioned there. So anyway, we'll figure that all out. Don't worry, folks. We'll have coverage on it. MedicineNetNews.com. That's again www.medicinenetnews.com. So that's high school stuff, and of course volleyball is going to start up. Cross country is going to start up. So we'll definitely hear more about all that. I know I did a couple stories on Eagle Butte girls going to Hawaii. I know they're back from that now. So and they're looking really good. They're already defending 3A champions in volleyball. So all those stuff we'll be covering that as we do every year. So that's a lot of stuff going on. Fall season, holy cow! That's why we wanted to get this podcast started up now, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and I'm really looking forward to everything kind of getting in motion here for the fall season and really getting my feet wet in this town.
Definitely. So moving on, Rattlers. Again, you really haven't had a chance, Ryan, to sort of get to know most of these Rattlers teams.
No, I really haven't had the chance to get to know any of them. I've kind of just I hit the ground running with the Mavericks, and I didn't really stop with them until they won the championship, and from that point it was straight into Tigers. So
yeah, I know Jim Laughlin pretty well. He coaches both of the Rattlers soccer teams, men's and women's. He's done that for quite a number of years now, and the women's, as I said earlier, they're hosting nationals. But it's funny though, because last year's team on paper, that was a team with like six or seven fifth-year players, which is almost unheard of. Check that. That is unheard of at the Alberta Colleges level. That's crazy. And unfortunately, they hosted the conference, Alberta College Athletic Conference tournament, came up short in the semifinal. So this year they've got a lot of turnover. So it'll be very interesting to see what they can do. I mean, I know Jim was talking to me about, well, at the very least we have a longer building season because we know we're going to nationals. So even if you didn't peak at conference, which you still want to win that.
Definitely.
You've got more flexibility from a coaching perspective. The season, when it's all said and done, is only a couple months long. So if you even have a couple extra weeks and you can focus on nationals, who knows, right? I mean, they've got that entry. Hopefully they can go in as the conference champion. But even if they don't, they know they've got that extra week planned out. So it'll be interesting to see where that team goes.
Definitely, that's going to be an exciting season.
Yeah, and the men's team actually is, interestingly enough, looks better on paper because they've got more returnees this year. So. And then we'll definitely get into the volleyball and basketball teams, but they start a bit further down. They're just doing their practicing right now and selecting teams. So we'll talk to them a bit, in a month or two or something like that. Is sort of my thought at the moment. But who knows? We might talk to him earlier.
Yeah.
Things can change. The other thing, too, is golf. Trevor Moore, who's a columnist for us, he's been a columnist for us forever and runs Advantage Golf Academy. There you go, Trevor. There's your plug. By the way, if anybody else wants plugs, please contact our advertising department. But anyhow, Trevor's got, I believe he had practice on Wednesday here. and he's got an official tryout round on Monday, Labor Day Monday, at Desert Bloom. So he's got that. He'll have that team figured out, and their season is incredibly quick. They do a North Regional, South Regional, and ACAC championships, and if they're lucky, they can go to nationals.
I was going to say the window for that must be pretty small.
It's ridiculously small, and I'm glad that there is still golf in the ACAC, but yeah, the season is remarkably short. So they do what they can with it, and Trevor tries to identify kids who might be interested in playing during the summer even. Before he's even able to have any practices or recruiting, just so that they can sort of hopefully have a plan with, gearing up for it and gearing up for competitive golf. Maybe playing it, even if they're not able to, I know a lot of them will enter things like the Southeastern, which is this weekend at Connaught. The 81st Southeastern is this weekend at Connaught, and even if they can't, play all 3 rounds or something like that, I don't know how they can work that, but. I know they've had kids, rattlers, play in that in the past, and the other, like the City Open and stuff like that have been major Medicine Hat golf tournaments just to gear up. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. So that's rattlers. I mean, we'll definitely talk more about it. And as we were looking at a calendar and stuff like that, and the other thing that I see on the calendar that I'll just mention briefly, I see Medicine Hat Junior B Cubs. Their training camp starts next week. So we'll be talking to them and seeing what their plans are. I think they tweeted actually some pictures. They've redone the ticket booth at the Kimplex, looking pretty sharp.
Very
the black.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Junior B hockey is always pretty exciting. I definitely I love Junior B hockey for the fact that it's kids that are out there to play.
Right.
Yeah, they're not looking for jobs. They're still going to school. They're out there because they love the game, and it always tends to be pretty exciting hockey.
Yeah, and yeah, this Cubs team. I mean. They're always in the mix. I'll give them that. And so it's just a matter of just winning at the right time of year for them. So we'll see what their team shapes up as. See what kind of veterans they got. But yeah, they'll have training camp next week. And if anybody is listening to this, if you might be interested or know somebody interested in playing, just Google them. Just Google Medicine Hat Junior B Cubs, and they'll have lots of information up there if you want to get on the team or something like that. So finally, I think that's kind of what it is. Anything else you want to talk about local sports? I mean, I think we've covered pretty much the darn gamut.
Yeah, I think we've been around the block here.
But I think that if anybody isn't aware, I mean, there's so much stuff going on in this community, and I guess that's sort of what we try to do, in our department, is sort of highlight all the stuff that's going on, right? I mean. There's so much stuff that we wish we could cover, that we just sort of have to rely on people sending us stuff in for and things like that. That, this is just sort of another outlet to maybe let folks know about some other stuff. So if there's something that you want to talk about or you want to let us know about, again, email us, sports@medicinehatnews.com, or find us on Twitter at MHN Rooney or at MHN McCracken. And yeah, we'd love to let everybody know about what's going on in the community. So
yeah, and I mean, on that note, I'm still kind of learning everything that's going on out here in Medicine Hat. So if you want to send me a tweet or an email, you can get to my email at sports@medicinehatnews.com as well. Let me know. I'm more than willing to come out and learn about all the sports that this town has to offer, and I'm looking forward to figuring everything out and finding the best way to give coverage to everything that I can. Beautiful.
So as the last sort of main thing we want to talk about, it's not really sports related, but we'll find a way to talk about some sports in the middle of it. This is a thing that's near and dear to my heart because, as I said, I am talking from the Alberta Children's Hospital, where my son Dominic was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia last September, and sort of one of the first things that I got involved in. First of all, when you get a room here, you would actually, I mean, obviously nobody ever wants to be here, right? But they do what they can to make it, semi-comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
There's an Xbox 360 in every room.
Amazing.
There's a PS2 in most rooms. I think I found one room that actually had an original Xbox. That was kind of weird. And there's a Wii in every room. And you can rent out games from the front desk clerk and stuff. And it's just, I mean, you're in here. You've got some kind of cancer on this unit. So you're getting chemo and stuff. You're stuck in your bed. And so it's a way to sort of give the kids something to do, keep them active, keep them, it's not as depressing that way. You got games to play, right? So that was one thing that sort of led into a friend of mine told me about Extra Life, which is a 24-hour gaming charity. And what it does is every year, it started in 2008, but they play, you sign up at extra-life.org, You commit to playing 24-hour marathon of games, and it doesn't have to be just video games. You can play board games, darts, pool, basketball, whatever, football, hockey, I don't care. And you get sponsors for it, and all the money you get sponsored for goes to the children's hospital of your choice.
That's a very, very cool idea.
Yeah. What's the longest you've ever played games for?
I don't know if I want to admit to that question.
I'll be honest. Before doing the 24-hour thing, it was actually 25 hours last year. They were super devious and decided to do it on the day that it was daylight savings change. So I had to play an extra hour to go from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m.
That's awesome.
It was November 2nd last year, and I had honestly never stayed up playing just games for 25 hours. I'd stay up for like 50 hours in college once, but that's a whole other story we can't get into.
I think we have time for that.
No, nobody wants to hear that, do they? But no, I think maybe like 12, 13 hours maybe, like playing like the original Civilization on my parents' old crappy PC computer. But that's about it.
I wasn't paying attention, but I burned a lot of time on Madden over the past 2 days off.
Yeah. Okay. So you got the brand new Madden. It's new out. What are the newest things about that?
Well, actually, I didn't get 25. I didn't get last year's Madden.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know all of the exact changes from last year's game, but I do know that because the last one that I had would have been 13, I guess.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've been playing Connected Franchise with one of my friends who's back out in Ontario, and
yeah.
I've been quarterback in the Cardinals, and he took the Rams. And
okay.
See, the thing is, these games, and like NHL 2, I'm very excited for the NHL 15 launch. I've been watching some of the previews for it and reading up on it. It looks like it's going to be a great game.
September 9th, by the way, for that launch. That's when you can get the game.
Yep. And but I always kind of wonder, once I get these games and I play them with a friend, like why am I throwing my money away at this sort of stuff? You know, like, when I'm playing it by myself, I have a great time. But you put my friend in the room with me, and we both just start throwing things and get mad.
But it's cathartic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like the games are almost too realistic. Like you know, like it's introduced this sort of thing in Madden where sometimes your pass will just go wild.
Right.
You're not going to hit your target, which is realistic, but it's also frustrating.
Right. You'd rather go back to the original Nintendo version of hockey where you could literally pass the puck into the net every single time from the right spot.
Right at the bottom of the circle there, about 4 feet off from the net. No matter where you put it, it scores.
Yeah.
Those were the days. Those were the days. No, but I do love the way that they're getting a lot more realistic. But yes, it does get incredibly frustrating at times, and especially when you factor lag into the equation for an online game.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those. Yeah, it's like a cathartic frustration, and that it's hilariously frustrating. Because it's just I get it, and then next play he throws an interception, and all of a sudden he's fuming mad, and I'm laughing because I know 5 seconds ago I was feeling that.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I know for a fact that like the Tigers love to play NHL. Multiplayer over online from their billet houses. So we'll have to get them on at some point in time and talk about some of the epic matches they've had.
Oh, I'm sure there are some good ones.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, to bring it back to Extra Life. I mean it's that's the thing. You can whatever you like to play. It's a great way to sort of give back. Of course, in my situation, I want to give back as much as I can. This community has done so much for me, and so to give back to the Alberta Children's Hospital in particular, they do so many great things here that it's just so obvious for me to want to get involved, and it's been really rewarding even just being involved with it because people want to try to help. My family and my son, and there's not a whole lot you can do, right? So, but Extra Life is sort of one thing that it really makes us feel like there's people behind us and stuff like that to see people jumping on that bandwagon. And actually, I can report. I just found out yesterday. I got some numbers from Medicine Hat. Last year they had 14 people in all signed up. This year we've already got 17, and 12 of those are brand new that didn't even play last year.
That's great. Well, you hear that, Medicine Hat.
Yeah.
Let's push that number up to 20, 25. Let's see how high we can get.
Yeah. So if you're interested in doing this, first of all, go to extra-life.org and just sign up. But when you're signing up, you can actually choose. I actually created Team Medicine Hat. So like we've got 8 or 9 members now. You're not going to believe this. There's more than 2,000 teams fundraising for Extra Life.
Wow.
Team Medicine Hat is number 19 right now overall the whole world. We've raised more money so far. I think about $2,600. We've raised more money than Extra Life Los Angeles.
Wow.
So
this is just the start.
yeah, this is just early on. So, you can do that. I've also created Extra Life Medicine Hat Facebook group if anybody's interested there. There's no specific place you have to play this. I know guys who just played in their underwear all day last year, not to mention any names. Not me, by the way. I actually did it as a house party. It was awesome. I had some friends over, and we just sort of did it as a house party, and that actually helps you stay awake for that long when you got other people doing it with you. So, and we try to eat well. I bought the Costco size thing of almonds because almonds are a really good snack food. They have lots of protein. So, but yeah, no. So there's get in touch with us. I'd love to hear other people's stories and help promote your Extra Life page. So definitely sign up, and you can find me on Twitter too. I actually have a separate Twitter account, just so everybody knows, from the Medicine Hat News. Medicine Hat News won the MHN Rooney. I tweet about local sports when I'm working. When I'm not there, I'm at Sean Rooney, SeanRooney, and that's where you'll see me just going on and on and on about my son and Extra Life. So yeah, FYI.
Excellent, and it's definitely an interesting read. I know you got your blog as well.
Yeah, it links DominicAML.blogspot.ca, or you can just Google Dominic AML. There's it's a long story. Put it that way.
Yeah, and it's definitely a story worth reading. I mean, if you're going to take the time to know what's going on with Medicine Hat Sports, you might as well take the time to know what's going on with the guy who's giving you all that information, right?
Sure. Yeah. It's good to have a dose of perspective, because let's face it, in the end, sports is just fun.
Yeah.
It's part of life, but it's often not the most important thing in people's lives. And but it's good. It's a good outlet. It's a great thing to do, be involved in, but it's not the be all and end all sometimes. So definitely, I understand that more now than I did a year ago.
That's great.
Yeah. So geez, the last thing we had on our sheet here to do was talk about Twitter and email and feedback, and we kind of did all that already. So if you didn't notice,
one thing that we do want to throw out there though is that if there's anybody in Medicine Hat with musical talents, we're definitely looking for an intro and outro song for this podcast.
Yeah, something that sounds good, because we do not have musical talent, Medicine Hat. We're sorry.
No, my talents are strictly in writing and maybe taking a couple pictures, but no, nothing involved with music. I didn't even take music class growing up.
I actually must admit I actually have a little bit of music talent. I played trombone in high school, but I don't think anybody wants to hear it as the intro.
Trombone and give us a song.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that. You might be able to hear me if you tune into the Labor Day game on Monday. I have a horn that I will blow at the Stampeders Eskimos game. But,
awesome.
I'm quite loud.
And that should actually be a good game this weekend.
That should be incredible. Oh, that's going to be so fun. I'm from Calgary, just so everybody knows, so I've got nothing against the Rough Riders. I've got nothing against the Eskimos. Okay, that's a lie. No, professionally, I have nothing against them. I always try to put lots of Rough Riders coverage and stuff in the paper, but yeah, at heart, I'm a Calgary boy. So FYI. You can all troll me all you want about that. That's fine. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and I'm a Vancouver boy myself, so BC is my CFL team, and the Canucks will be my NHL team. I grew up out there before moving out to Ontario.
Gotcha.
So I'm sure that I'm going to get trolled a good amount for just releasing that information. But
you know what? It's funny with the Canucks. I mean, people will love that now, shouldn't they?
Now.
Well, most people hate the Canucks. I get that, But now nobody in Medicine Hat is allowed to hate the Canucks anymore. Is that
Trevor Linden, Willie Desjardins, and now Curtis Valk as well?
Trying
to crack that roster. So
and Dorsett and stuff. The names just go on and on and on. So you might actually gain some fans with that. You'll see. Yeah.
Well, I guess so. Only time will tell.
That's right. But yeah, no. I hope you all enjoyed this somewhat. Again, tell us what you'd like. Tell us what you didn't like, although maybe not too harshly. And hopefully we can see you back next week.
Yeah, we're looking forward to making this bigger and better, and it'll be a learning process, but we hope you guys listen and tune in as we make this into something great. And again, give us all your feedback and your ideas. If there's something you want to hear us talk about on the podcast, we'd be more than happy to talk about it. So you can get us on our email or on our Twitter.
All right. Catch you later, folks.
Have a good one. Thanks for bearing with us.
Ciao.